Folks, we have entered a timeline where Alex Jones has now surpassed the counterfeit news network CNN in the amount of BS shoveled in one program. Let me just show you this. I'm going to run through it. This is a post by Alex Jones who says, Major Charlie Kirk assassination question answered. New details of why the 30-06 bullet did not pass all the way through Kirk's neck revealed, according to the surgeon who examined Kirk's body. So we have plausible deniability right here because he's going to say, well, this came straight from the surgeon. And it kind of sounds like Alex Jones is trying to sell something to the audience that he himself does not believe, but he's still going to go with it. Check this out.
I got a call last night from Jack Posobiec, and he says, yeah, we see your viral post from an hour ago where you're quoting the TPUSA spokesperson, who, by the way, is a big fan of yours. You know, you've met him, you've hung out with him, had dinner with him, Andrew Colvin, where he's quoting the surgeon that attended to Charlie when he was brought in, and he didn't want to give the details out, so I understand how it looks a little weird that the bullet didn't go through. You need to call him. So I call him, and he goes, listen, I don't want to give the details out. I said, well, I can't help it if I'm explaining. He goes, okay, fine, but it's really gruesome. And he said that, again, he's being shot from down an angle. It hits the spine and then bounces down, which is what it's going down, and then it hits, it deflects.
Notice the angle that Alex Jones is doing. Almost like a 90-degree angle. He's shooting from way up here, like he was in a helicopter or a drone or something. From way up here. From what I understand, the angle's more like this right here. It's more like that. If it was even that shot, which it doesn't look like it was, but Alex Jones is just going to go with this.
With this philosophy, goes back into the spine, blows out 6 vertebrae. The bullet then shatters. That's what they do. I've shot wild hogs straight on. This has happened, and deer, and then exploded into the heart, and fragments shot up. So he oversimplified when he said, oh,
exploded into the heart.
Exploded into the heart.
Now later he's going to say that the heart exploded, and that's what he means by exploded into the heart. But there's a different testimony from somebody within TPUSA that actually runs counter to this.
Then they found the bullet up in the shoulder by the neck. No, it was fragments. And I'm sitting there listening to this in the car, and I'm like, yeah, usually I shoot a deer or hog, in the shoulder. If you get a clear shot, but in the woods, you only get a front shot. I do it. You hit him in the front. I mean, it'll go in, back out the side, out the front. I mean, it does wild stuff. So I'm not, saying this is absolutely the perfect answer to all of this, but I talked to FBI ballistics experts. They said yes, and I've seen it myself. So that made a lot more sense. So it didn't go through.
I'm not saying this is the answer to all this, but the experts say yes, this could have definitely happened. I mean, Charlie Kirk is the man of steel. That bullet was stopped by Charlie Kirk's vertebrae.
Because, oh yeah, think about it. It's coming down at a major angle, then hits the bone and ricochets down. And I've seen that happen many times where you go into the front of a mammal, and that's what he was, a great man, and then it bounces around. And when I first saw the report, because he was explaining what the surgeon said without giving me all the details, I said, that makes no sense. But I've actually shot hogs on one case. Gosh, I've shot a lot of them. They're feral, they want you to get rid of them. Then they eat the baby deer and just destroy everything. I probably shot 90 or more. I was trying to think about it. Wild hogs. I've shot little ones, big ones. Biggest I ever shot was like 400 pounds.
The more he details this particular story, the less I believe him.
Shot it at about 300 yards or so, straight on, because it came out of the woods, was turned. I was afraid it was about to go back in. I wanted a side shot, but I shot it, trying to shoot it right in the face. Said it went right under the neck. And that was a 300 Win Mag, very similar to a 30-06, a little more powerful, but basically the same. And it went in, so we butchered it later, about 2 feet. So to the lower intestine, well, it hit some ribs, broke into pieces, but a bunch of it bounced back up into the shoulder. So people are like, what do you mean magic bullet? Well, magic bullets because they shot Kenny with more than one bullet. They're saying magic bullet here because people are saying it went in the throat and doesn't go out the back. Of course, a 30-06 would do that. But if it's coming down like this, and then it glances on a bone, then it ricochets down. That's exactly what to do. That's why you can also, because hogs have thicker skulls, it doesn't really happen with deer. You can shoot a hog in the head. That's why you want to shoot the shoulder instead. And if it hits at a little bit of an angle, the skull will deflect it up, and you'll see a bunch of skin blow off the hog's head. But it lives because you didn't get it straight on. So I'm not endorsing that. I'm not saying we shouldn't investigate it, any of that. I'm saying a lot of ballistic experts are explaining that. And when I got the full download of what the surgeon...
He is really, really grasping at straws, and he's really trying to cover his bases here.
...said, and his spokesman was saying, a good friend of his, saying, please, don't give all the details, but he gave them to me, and it was... I said, how? I said, I'm not going to be able to do this. I said, I didn't record this. I didn't write it all down. I was driving. But I said, there's no way I can't explain it. So he was explaining, the different T levels. He'd written it down, what the surgeon told him.
T levels?
T levels. He'd written it down. It comes down like this at an angle, hits the bone at a glancing, bounces down, runs in. That's the left side. To the heart set, centered over to the left, goes all the way down, it hits bones, fragments blast out the heart, and then fragments, boom, shattered up into the shoulder. So it was an oversimplification by the TPUSA person that they found the bullet under the skin up in the shoulder by the neck. No, it was a bunch of fragments. So that's why you see his hands go, because the spine's gone at that point, because it went down the spine, into the spine, took out a bunch of the vertebra, and then by the end the bullet was so mushroomed, once it mushrooms a certain point, it then fragments blast out the heart, the lungs.
Blasts out the heart and the lungs.
Blast out the heart, the lungs.
Now, hold that thought, because Charlie Kirk's mentor, Frank Turek, who was standing to the right of Charlie Kirk when he got shot, has a completely different story about Charlie Kirk's heart.
Now, it is true, when we got to the hospital and they started working on him right away, they did get a pulse back.
Hey, Frank, how did they get a pulse back on a body that had a heart that was blown out?
Blast out the heart, the lungs.
Why does it seem like everybody, including Alex Jones and TPUSA, is completely lying to us and trying to sell us a miracle story so that we can canonize Charlie Kirk? Thank God there are people with rational minds out there who want to tell the truth, like this guy.
You know how many people hunt out there and know exactly what a 30-06 round does to an elk skeleton or bone? We're not dumb. This ain't going to work. This man of steel, his bone density. Let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about some things a 30-06 can do. From out to about 400 to 500 yards, a 30-06 can penetrate elk bone. Why is that significant? Elk bone is significantly more dense and strong than human bone. Why? Because elk get up to almost 1,000 pounds. And so the bone has to be extremely dense to carry that much weight. Now, let's compare it to human, okay? Well, for one, let's talk about where Charlie got shot. He got shot here in the carotid. If that did hit a vertebrae in his neck, let's understand that neck vertebrae is some of the most fragile bone in the human body because it's so flexible to handle what we do with our neck. So what they're telling you is a 30-06 round, which can blow through elk bone, was stopped by Charlie Kirk's neck and a vertebrae. If you believe that, God bless your little heart. Now let's look at this actual ballistics test. All right, so we're going to watch a video from U.S. Overwatch. He just put out this a day ago. Very good video. Let's check it out.
First shot will be a cold bore shot, and we will just see what kind of results we are able to duplicate.
All right, so he's got some very thick bone here across the strap of this dummy. Obviously, this would be far thicker and stronger than a human vertebrae in the neck. Let's see what this 30-06 rounds does to it. Huh. Not only does it go through that bone, it explodes the bone, blows through the dummy. Also, as we'll see here in a second, blows through the wall behind it.
The bone stood no chance against a 30 caliber round traveling at that high of a velocity. So now we're going to give it reset it back up and put the ballistic plate in front of it and see if we can't duplicate that shot as well.
Destroys the plate. Second that he's there, just ripped the entire half of that plate off. So there you go, guys. You just saw, I mean, right there for you, 30-06 round. Damage it's going to do. Went through way bigger bone than a vertebrae, through the dummy, through the wall. Blew the entire top section of that ballistic plate off. But Charlie Kirk's neck, flesh and a little vertebrae, stopped that round.
So once again, let's listen to Alex Zio Jones lie for TPUSA and lie on behalf of the government for the official story.
Goes all the way down, it hits bones, fragments blast out the heart, and then fragments, perfect, yeah, but boom, shattered up into the shoulder. So it was an oversimplification by the TPUSA person that they found the bullet under the skin up in the shoulder by the neck. No, it was a bunch of fragments. So that's why you see his hands go, because the spine's gone at that point, because it went down the spine, into the spine, took out a bunch of the vertebra, and then by the end the bullet was so mushroomed, once it mushrooms a certain point, it then fragments blast out the heart, the lungs. I mean, they said you're getting the first looks, by the way, at this. I mean, he told me way more than what he wrote in the description. He said, look, I'm sorry, I'm not a surgeon, a coroner. Just what they told me. And once I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen that. So that's what those bullets do. I've done it. I've seen it. I know. Dude, I've done it.
And that's the face of a man who doesn't even believe his own BS, but he's still going to try to sell it to you.
Dude, I've done it.
Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to support this channel, you can do it for free. Just like this video. Share this video with everybody you know, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification icon. If I'm not raided by the feds for telling the truth and calling out these charlatans and all their BS, I'll see you in the next one.